I want to get into the Fed stuff next week. We're going to, we've been able to dodge this topic for a little while because it's been a bit since their last meeting, which I think was mid-December. And now next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, January the 31st and February the 1st, which will be perfect timing for us since we have a show next Wednesday, February the 1st. The Fed, the FOMC meeting will be taking place. We will be finding out on the 1st of February what the next rate hike is. I don't even want to use the word presumably. I mean, it's almost assuredly they're not pivoting at this point. We're still going to see a rate hike of some sort. I think people seem to be kind of torn between a quarter of a basis point or a half. We had a half the last time around in December, which was the first time that they lowered it from that 75 basis point route, showing that they are slowing. But the last time Powell talked about 6 weeks ago, he did say that basically it looked like what they're going to do is they were still interested in hiking rates in smaller increments, but for longer. So we wouldn't be getting slapped up front. And I think this kind of just gave them flexibility to, give them more time to make decisions and things like that. So we have this one next Wednesday. And then I believe the next one is mid-March. I should have already had these pulled up, and I'll pull them up here in the meantime. So first off, Ewok, what do you think we've got here next week? Do you think they keep the pedal on the metal for, with a half basis point, or do you think they start to dial it back and go with a quarter? And what do you think they come out sounding like?
No, I'm thinking we continue at 50 basis points for now. We'll see how that has any kind of reaction on the markets, if any.
Right? Yeah.
We've kind of noticed that they're all baked in, a week or so before it really happens. And depending on how much different it is from what people think it or thought it was going to be, then you kind of see the adjustment after that. So I think it's going to stay at 50 points. I don't see much action different in the market. We'll see it in the days leading up to it probably. But yeah, I don't see anything different from what we've been doing anyway.
I don't too much either. I think 50 is probably priced in, if not for the simple fact that they just went to that in December, and it would make sense to do maybe one more at that rate. I do think if we only get a quarter, there is a chance we could pump, though. I think that to me would signify like we are about to pivot, like we're about to back off of this. So, the possibility is out there. I tend to side with you. I think we'll probably get another half, and then we'll see a pivot. So the next meeting after that would be about another 6 weeks. It'll be March the 21st and 22nd. So we have some good chunks of time in between these things to really see if they decide to go another direction. And don't forget this as well. I said this a couple of weeks ago, even though I'm not well schooled in it and keep forgetting how they calculate it. But essentially, the next CPI readings that we're getting is going to be the new calculation they do where different data is factored in. Essentially, the moral of the story is the number is going to look better because they're just pulling different data. So whatever that means, whether it's the Fed just kind of fudging things to make themselves look better, if the majority of the big dumb masses think that it's good, then it's going to be good. It's just the way it'll be. So, I think there's multiple bullish things. But, everybody keeps talking about macro. And yes, I agree. Like there are big real world things that are happening because of the U.S. economy and all these rate hikes. But it kind of just seems like as far as markets, people don't care right now that much. So we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't be buying a house right now, but I would be buying crypto. So,
right.
Yeah. So what do you think? Let me ask you that. Like, if they did just do a quarter of a point, what do you think we would see? Because I'm just not seeing a lot more macro things for people to, get all that scared.
Well, I think it could be definitely bullish for the rest of the markets, only because everyone's predicting, the 50 points. If it's lower, that means a pivot is closer. Could be very bullish for everything. And Bitcoin has been holding pretty close to the S&P and the the other markets out there. So it could be very bullish after that. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, and speaking of Valentine's Day, February the 14th is when we will get that next CPI rating that should have that new calculation. So stay tuned for that a couple of weeks after this next FOMC. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. At least we aren't at the point like last, summer and into the fall where we were hanging on by a thread to see what Jerome Powell was going to say. It's not quite that tied to it anymore. But again, I think people have PTSD from this bear market and just think that everything is going to be terrible. So we'll see how the market reacts. But yeah, going to be an interesting one next week. So